Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this conference with Le Cercle des Langues. Tonight we are speaking about finding equilibrium, strategies for a work-life balance. So, a few notes before we begin. After today's discussion, everyone in the group will be sent the PDF or will be sent the slideshow. In that way, you are able to look at the slideshow, and if there are any interesting parts of vocabulary that you would like to use, you may use them. As well, for the next 25 minutes, we will do the conference. But afterwards, for 5 minutes, I will have a question and answer. So please feel free to put all of your questions into the chat, or you can keep them for 5 minutes after, and you are more than welcome to ask, and we will have a small discussion. Okay? So, with regards to finding equilibrium, strategies for a work-life balance, we are going to focus on 4 parts. We are going to focus on the introduction, the strategies that one can use for a better work-life balance. We are going to have a look at how to talk about work-life balance. And finally, we are going to look at the conclusion. For those of us who are joining the conference for the first time, at the bottom of your screen, I think it is the 4th button, le 4e bouton. That is your button for the chat, which you are more than welcome to use, as I said, to ask certain questions. So let's begin. Let's begin with our introduction. So, work-life balance refers to the equilibrium between professional responsibilities and personal life activities. And as we know, in today's time, it's quite difficult to try to find a work-life balance, and that is why this conference will be quite important to show us certain strategies that we can use to strike a balance between our work life and our personal life. So, the importance of work-life balance. When you have this balance, it reduces stress and burnout. It improves our mental and our physical health, and it enhances job satisfaction and productivity. It betters our relationships and our quality of life, and it helps us attract and retain talent in workplaces. So the 5th point, oftentimes we find that when a company deems work-life balance important, it is better for us to stay. We tend to stay in positions that show work-life balance is important. When it's important for the company, it makes us as employees feel safe. So that is what the 5th point refers to. It attracts and retains talent in the workplace. So I would like us to have a look at some vocabulary that we will be discussing or that you will see throughout the conference today. So we would see the word flex time. And flex time or flexi time speaks about horaire flexible. When we talk about working from home, we are referring to télétravail. Okay? When we talk about team management, we are speaking about gestion du temps. When we speak about boundaries, we are talking about les limites. Mais limites, dans ce cas, in this case, we are talking about professionnel. Okay? Downtime is temps libre or temps de repos. Overtime speaks about heures supplémentaires. So, vocabulary focus, feelings, and emotions. We now move on to the part, what does it mean to be overwhelmed? To be overwhelmed is feeling unable to cope with the amount of work or pressure. So how we use this in a sentence, we say, I am feeling overwhelmed or I am overwhelmed. So it is the verb être. It is the verb to be. Burnt out, extreme physical or mental fatigue due to prolonged stress. When we talk about being burnt out, we also use the verb to be. So I am burnt out or I am feeling burnt out. Stressed is when you are feeling tense or worried. Again, we use the verb être when we would like to apply the word stressed. We can say I am feeling because that is the present continuous form. I am feeling, and we use the word stressed just afterwards as an adjective. I am feeling fulfilled. When we are fulfilled, we are feeling satisfaction or happiness. We are happy because of fully developing one's ability. When we are feeling relaxed, we are free from tension and anxiety. We are now moving on from our feelings and we are looking more at actions and activities. So, when we are talking about juggling a project or juggling certain things, we're talking about how we manage or deal with more than one task or responsibility. So, if I say at the moment I am juggling 4 projects, it means I am busy or I am occupied with various projects at the same time. Okay. We talk about delegating. Delegating is when we assign responsibility to another person. So oftentimes we have a leader or a manager or a boss who delegates the responsibility to certain members of the team. Delegating responsibility can also be seen as sharing responsibility. To prioritize something is to determine the order of importance of those tasks. So, when something is a priority, it is the task that is important, but we prioritize the task for making certain tasks important. So, priority or prioritize, they are in the same group. We switch off, which means we stop thinking about work and we find ways to relax. It is important to switch off. The word or the term switch off is slightly less formal, but it is acceptable to use. Then we speak about recharging. And recharging is the action to refresh one's self with rest and relaxation, often over the weekend or after work. So now that we have looked at all of the vocabulary, let's look at those strategies that we can use for a better work-life balance. So we have 10 strategies for a better work-life balance. And the first one is to set clear boundaries. So that means to decide when you will start and finish work each day. Those boundaries give us time to do other things, and it allows us to understand that when something is done, we leave it to one side, and it gives us the freedom to engage with other activities. Number 2, prioritize tasks. Put tasks in a good order of importance. So, what is the most important thing? What is the second most important thing? The third and the fourth. This will then help us to understand that if by the end of the day we have not achieved all of our tasks, at least we have achieved and completed the most important tasks. So when we prioritize tasks, not everything that is urgent is important. So it's important to know the difference between something that is urgent and something that is important. Number 3, take regular breaks. Short pauses can refresh you. Set alarms or use productivity apps. Incorporate eye exercises to reduce eye strain, and take a few minutes during breaks for mindful breathing. So, these 3 steps are quite important in allowing your brain to come back to the tasks that are important, especially those that work with computers all the time. So, when we incorporate eye exercises, it helps us to reduce eye strain as well as taking regular breaks. With regards to taking regular breaks, let me just have that. Yes. So when we talk about more things that we can do in terms of our regular breaks, we can follow the 20-20-20 rule. So what is this rule? We take every 20 minutes. After every 20 minutes, we take a 20-second break and we look at something 20 feet away to reduce eye strain. So this is quite important for those who work with documents throughout the day or who work with the computer throughout the day. Consider a 5 to 10 minute break for every hour to stretch and move around. Use breaks to stay hydrated and have a healthy snack. Number 4, learn to say no. Obviously, it's not always easy. However, it sometimes is okay to decline additional tasks or commitments. This is important because, as we saw in the vocabulary, when we have too much to do, there is a possibility that we will feel overwhelmed. And we do not want to feel overwhelmed and as if we are juggling many tasks at one time. So it's important that, if possible, we say no to additional tasks and commitments. Let's look at number 5. Use technology wisely. Use tools that help manage tasks, but also ensure to disconnect from work. And unfortunately, a big part of our work life has come with social media, the news. So it's important to know that maybe after a certain time, we switch off from social media. We do not look at our phones, we do not look at social media. So it is not always about the applications that we use for work. It's really useful to use applications for work, but however, it is important to know when to switch off from those applications and from social media and for all work related activities. Let's look at number 6. Practice self-care. Allocate time for activities that you love. For example, we can create a schedule and allocate a specific time slot for activities that you love. We should establish boundaries to protect your self-care time and to integrate small doses of activity you love throughout your day. It could be as simple as taking a short walk. And yes, we completely understand that with our busy schedules, that it's very difficult to find the time for self-care. So this is just another tip or another piece of advice that could help when it comes to finding and establishing that work-life balance. We have a beautiful picture at the bottom of the screen that says, what are ideas for a self-care routine? We have exercise, we have learning new things, we can focus on skincare, a daily regime, loving ourselves with whichever activity brings you the most joy, finding a hobby, eating well, getting more sleep, and drinking water. So anything that practices self-care can help us establish a work-life balance. Number 7, to delegate, to pass on tasks that others can do. Sometimes it's difficult to trust that someone will complete the exercise as efficiently as you would. So, in order to strike that work-life balance, sometimes it is important to trust someone with an exercise or a project that you cannot manage to get to. Number 8, seek support. Talk to family, friends, or professionals about how you feel. So sometimes it helps to talk, we say in English, to vent or to just release. So when we seek support, that can also help us to strike the balance. Let's look at number 9, review and adjust. Regularly assess how you're balancing work and life, making changes as needed. So it's important to take some time to look at everything holistically and see, what could I change? What could I adjust? And how can I adapt? These reviews allow us to make the necessary changes and to keep adapting to an ever-changing world. And finally, number 10, stay organized. We can try to use planners, applications, or lists to keep track of tasks. Remember, these are 10 strategies. There are also others, and it is important to find what works for you, because not something that might not work for me might work for someone else, and vice versa. So it's important to find what works for you. How to talk to your manager about work-life balance. This is the next part. So let's look at certain phrases or certain things that we can do when it comes to speaking to our managers about our work-life balance. Opening up about well-being is the first suggestion. So for example, using the phrase, lately I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed and I think it's affecting my well-being. A phrase that is polite, that is clear, and it is very direct. So it allows your manager to understand exactly where you are and exactly what you need. We can also take the direct approach. I wanted to discuss my current workload. I feel that finding a more sustainable work-life balance would benefit both my well-being and my performance. It is about being direct but not aggressive. So again, we choose language that is polite and that is kind. It's very important so that we can take the aggressive tone out of what we are trying to communicate. We also have time management. I've been reflecting on my time management and I feel that a clearer distinction between work and personal time could make me more effective. This is a beautiful way to explain how, if I look after myself, I am then able to look after the company. And in that sense, it is a lot easier for a corporate structure to understand where you are coming from. Seeking flexibility. Is there an opportunity to explore flexible working hours or telecommuting, occasionally? Telecommuting, this is a word if not often used, but sometimes we can refer directly to the flexible working hours. When we seek flexibility, again, this is a phrase that is very polite and it really tells the person that you are communicating with what you would like to achieve. At the end, it is, what do I want? Physical and mental health. To ensure I'm always giving my best at work, I think it's essential for me to prioritize my physical and mental health. Again, a phrase I truly appreciate, because you are telling your employer or you are telling your manager what you need to do for yourself so that you are better performing at work. This again will allow your manager to see it from your point of view. And it's always very useful to use that kind of language that is inclusive, language that shows that I am thinking about the company while I am thinking about myself. Referring to productivity is always something that is very useful. I've read studies suggesting that employees with a good work-life balance tend to be more productive and engaged. As I have said before, you are showing that you would like to grow for the company. And in that, you are looking after your well-being, which is always a very good point to take. Open-ended questions. How do you see the importance of work-life balance in our team? The importance of open-ended questions gives multiple people the opportunity to respond in an open way. Closed-end questions generally give a yes, no response, and that is not what you are searching for. You are searching for opinions, you are searching for advice, and that is why it is good to speak with open-ended questions. Expressing commitment. I'm committed to contributing positively to the team. I feel that by finding a sustainable work-life balance, I can maintain this commitment. Exactly as I said, it shows the connection. You are trying to be better for your company by looking after yourself. Seeking advice. I was wondering if you had any advice or suggestions on how I might achieve a better work-life balance between my work and personal life. It's always great because others could have advice that you have not thought of. And it's always opening that conversation to see what can be done to better help and assist you. Number 10, referring to long-term goals. Thinking long-term, I want to ensure that I remain a valuable asset to the team. I believe I can do this by maintaining a work-life balance. Can we discuss potential strategies? A beautiful way to open up the conversation so that you are showing the people that you are working with or your manager that you are open. You are open to advice, you are open to suggestions, and you are ready to work and grow. So, in conclusion, let's have a look at what we discussed today. Achieving a healthy work-life balance is vital for overall well-being and professional success. By recognizing the importance of balance and implementing practical strategies, individuals can reduce stress, enhance productivity, and create fulfilling lives. So points that we would like to remember is open communication with managers are often the better solution. The right equilibrium between work and life is a journey, and everyone is different. So it is important to find what works for you and what makes you feel comfortable. Small intentional changes can make a significant impact on one's happiness. We have some e-learning modules that can help you. So for A2, B1, B2, and C1, we have bien-être au travail. Okay. We also have a wonderful article from Le Cercle des Langues blog, Comment une formation d'anglais peut améliorer le bien-être au travail. Okay. Very interesting if you would like to take the learning a bit further. We also have a YouTube video available for you, Comment améliorer le bien-être au travail en anglais. And that is the end of the conference. So now I am going to unmute everyone, and you are more than welcome to ask any questions if you would like. So let me see. So does anyone have any questions? Let me try and unmute everyone. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Or is everything clear? Non? On est bien? Caroline, I can't hear you. Je peux pas vous entendre, Caroline. Désolée.
Here, you can hear me?
I
you
can hear you.
Yes,
Hi,
okay.
Caroline.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Really thank you
No,
for the
absolutely.
presentation. I think it was really interesting because it's an important subject
Yes.
these days. I think it used to be a little taboo
Yes,
before. I think
yes.
it's really a modern vision.
Hmm.
And I have just a question. It's not really about the subject, but
Absolutely.
I didn't receive the previous PDF from the other conference.
From the other conferences.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know why. And
No problem, Caroline. From the other conferences. Okay, so what I'm going to do for you, can you put your email in the chat for me?
yes,
And I will gladly send it on to Francesco. And I will
okay,
ask him to please make sure that maybe he can send it on to you again. There might have been an error. Did you
perfect.
look in your spam by any chance?
Oh no.
Oui.
Hmm.
Parfois, il faut regarder au spam. Everyone,
Okay,
sometimes
okay.
it can, but I will also double check with him that it is sent. So if not, sometimes they can go to spam.
Okay, I will check.
Awesome. No, c'est pas un problème.
No, I have anything.
No problem, Caroline. I'm going
No,
to send that on to Francesco and have it sorted out as quickly as possible.
perfect.
Okay,
Thank you very
wonderful.
much.
My absolute pleasure. Are there any other questions tonight? Okay, wonderful. So, everybody, the PDF or the presentation will be sent to you, and I hope that you join us next week for our next conference. We have wonderful topics prepared, and next week we will be talking about the business of time management, which is quite exciting because time management, like finding balance, is something we are trying to do every day. So I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and thank you for joining us for the conference. And I will hopefully see you next week. So goodbye,
Okay, thank
everybody.
you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.